Welcome back to A Corporate Time. On February 1st at the West End, this gentleman's going to be performing some stand-up comedy.
Yeah, man.
We've got Cam Bertrand on the show. How you doing, Cam?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
We really appreciate you being here, man. And
now Cam almost ruined the entire show.
Great. Okay, great.
I wouldn't blame him,
I never so
honestly.
casually almost ended a friendship.
Let's talk about that. We like to get our guests in here that we've never talked to. We like to get them on the couch, and we like to say, like, this is what you've done to us. Look at what you've done to us.
I was, reviewing my notes, and I was like, oh, you're going to be at West End February 3rd, and you're like, no, it's the 1st. And then I said, I don't know about that either. Like, I know better than you.
To be fair, I wasn't even confident. I was like, I think it's the 1st. And you were like, well, actually.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm pretty sure.
Have you been feeling the number of times that anybody will say something and you will either know it all correct them, or you'll be dead confident that you got it right, but it's wrong? Have you ever counted those?
Yeah, everybody hates it around here.
It's driving us mad.
I was driving my wife away, my son.
Are you sure about that guy?
Actually, my son still loves me.
The hard part is when you're confident about it, and then everybody is like, well, maybe he's right, and then you end up being wrong, and you just don't care about being wrong. You're like, whatever.
That's the internet.
There's like no accountability.
He
You
did
just
the
go,
noise. I mean, that's what he does.
Cam, what do you think about, like, when you call someone out on the internet, like they put a video or some sort of meme they read and then they put it out as fact, and then you're like, this is wrong, and then when they finally find it's wrong, like they finally admit, they're like, yeah, but still it's funny, and they're like, it's not funny.
That actually happened to our buddy Akeem Woods the other day. Did you see that?
I know
yeah,
Akeem.
somebody.
Really?
Yeah.
So somebody on TikTok was like calling out a comedian for, I don't know, something, right? And somebody started tagging Akeem, and he's like, what the hell? I don't know what you guys are talking about. And the lady came back and she's like, oh yeah, you're right, it wasn't you. I hope you don't do that either. It was just like so nonchalant, but was like dragging his name on the internet. Like he was a POS.
Yeah, it's like people say, like, it is sort of.
You can just throw anybody's name out there.
It seems like we're at a time now where you chastise the person, then they say, hey, that's not me, and you say, like, well, hey, you should thank me, good looking out, because like
it's not even just with like calling somebody out. It's with everything. Where like once the stigma is the thing, that's just what the public perception is.
Yeah, you're not gonna get away from it,
even
if
with
it's not
crimes,
true.
dude.
Yeah.
OJ was acquitted, but the consensus is, he did it. And you're like,
murder.
Like, the government said he didn't do it. Like the legal system, and everyone's like, he did it. Like, it's everything.
But then the opposite, if someone did it and then you're like they think he's in it, no matter what, if you once you have your mind set up,
the mind thing?
And then you're just like, it doesn't matter what's
it's like Johnny Depp, dude. Johnny Depp lost all of his roles, and then he had to go to court, and then everybody was like, oh, Amber Heard shit in a pillow? Okay, maybe she's the problem. And you're like, you had to go through a whole thing, and then even then people are still like, he's still probably shit. Like,
they didn't give him back his role
at all.
Yeah, they were just like, nah, we still.
I guess we were kind of wrong sometimes.
But I do like him better as the mega pint pooing in the
so
pillow than I
funny.
do Jack Sparrow. Best role of his life.
Dude, there was the basketball player Josh Giddey. Everybody was like, oh, he's with an underage girl, this and that. And then like they investigated it and it wasn't true, but everybody's still like making memes of being like, him and R. Kelly are going to share a jail cell. And you're like, it's not even true.
Meanwhile,
and people are still like, maybe it is.
Meanwhile, right down the road in Tampa, Juan DeFranco, that guy, multiple underage, was like, he's like the guy in baseball, and they're just like, when's the last? Do you even know that name?
No.
But you know it's super serious when nobody makes jokes about it. Like if they're willing to make jokes about it, they're like, maybe. But like Juan DeFranco, they're like, oh no.
Yeah, imagine
a serious monster.
He might as well. Oh yeah, might as well have been a Tiger Woods in baseball. But you'll
Dude,
never hear about him again.
That's actually so funny.
Gone.
Like that's like a PR's dream. Is like, we hope they make some memes about this because we might be able to like slide this under the radar. If there's no memes about it, you're like, oh, this is for real.
Yeah.
You need at least a funny element to it.
Reddit, no mention of him. Tampa Bay Rays, no mention. Like it's like he didn't even play for the team. It's like not here.
You know what's serious? When they don't even put your jersey on sale, they just take it out of the store.
It's
not even discounted. Like Dwight Howard's jersey is discounted right now. Everybody's like, he'd be doing some weird stuff, but $15 for the jersey. But Juan DeFranco, they're like, get these off the shelves. Get them out of here.
He owned it too. Didn't Dwight own it? He was basically like,
he was like, I like weird stuff.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
He's
me.
like, I like that meat.
Yeah, he likes the meat.
He likes the meat, and he was like, don't worry
likes
about
to get freaky sometimes.
Don't worry about me and my meat.
Yeah.
I'm
He actually navigated.
Is that the quote?
I think he said,
give me that meat.
One of the quotes, it's a text. It's not a quote. I believe it is a text. It's a blue bubble, and he says, let me see that meat.
That's so funny.
And I hated him just because I like the magic, but when he said, let me see that meat, I was like, thank you for your service. I respect
It's funny. I know Akeem very well. Even Akeem wouldn't say, let me see that meat.
No, it's too gay. It's too gay for Akeem.
So gay.
So, Cam, I want to ask you about America's Got Talent because we were interviewing last week Taylor Williamson.
Yeah.
About
and Piff is a good friend of the show. In fact, we have
I've known Piff since his AGT run.
About the nicest man
We got
ever.
him coming in.
He'll just call us and be like, do you have room for me?
Yeah.
We're like, okay, Piff, settle down.
I like that, by the way.
I do too.
Yeah, he's great.
It makes me feel like we're not terrible.
Well, is that, like, you don't need the publicist to do this.
No.
You just email and they'll have you on. It's pretty easy. Anyway.
It's funny to be like, it's like, Piff, I'm so sorry. We're all booked up. But can you bring the dog? Can we have Mr. Piffles? Is that?
Yeah, Piffles came here too.
Piffles is the man.
Yeah, man.
So I want to ask you about the experience of doing stand-up in that environment because it's so weird. You know,
it scares me.
And every comedian that we've talked to that's done stand-up on America's Got Talent is like, it is a weird environment.
Our
and
buddy
it's
Preacher,
unlike anything
right?
else. Yeah.
So Preacher, a good friend of mine. When I started, Preacher was like that class that right before me.
Yeah.
And so I called him right before I did it, and he gave me advice and feedback on stuff. But my experience is different than a lot of other people's because the season that I did it in was the year after COVID. They offered it to me the COVID year, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing a Zoom thing. That's insane. Like that, I need an audience. Like that's like stand-up isn't a virtual platform, right? So I was like,
that's really weird doing like Zoom
people
on America's Got Talent.
To no
People
audience.
did Zoom comedy shows.
I did a couple of them. They're awful, but I wouldn't do it for national television.
Sure,
That's insane.
I was gonna say that's a
Your
pretty
debut.
weird. I think what you did is weird in a good way. In a good way because I
mine
don't
gets
think
way weirder.
Don't most people like if
you
America's
just take
Got Talent comes to 99% of the population, no matter what your talent, and says, "Hey, you want to do the Zoom thing?" I think most people take it, right? Because it's America's Got Talent.
But I know who I am, and I know like
I respect
if
that.
I
That's
did
cool.
the virtual thing, it wouldn't go well, and that's just not a good look.
It could ruin your career,
right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
you were
told
just
him,
talking about that, about doing interviews. Like you'd rather be in here than be via Zoom, phone call. Sure,
for sure. So I told him I was like, I'll do it when I have an audience, right? So the next year comes by, and they go, we can finally have an audience. We're gonna do it, whatever. So I was like, all right, cool. When I go out there, we still have to do all the testing. We have to take the swabs and all that, whatever. And we're quarantined, and they told us we're going to have an audience. The day of the auditions, they go, okay, guys, we got you 50 people as your audience. And I'm like, this is a 4,000-seat theater.
Yeah.
There's 50 people spread out throughout this entire thing, all wearing masks. None of it is set up well for comedy. Imagine doing it in an empty ballroom to 4 people that are 40 feet from you.
Yeah.
So
wearing masks, you can't even see their facial expressions.
Well, you cue off of that, right? Like you look at people's facial expressions.
you have to know
body
how
language.
the joke is doing. So I go up, and the other thing is that not only am I performing to this empty venue and just the judges, the monitors are also super low, and I'm so far away from the judges, I can't really hear what they're saying. So my banter is the timing's a little off. We're like, and then the first thing she says is, where are you from? And I was like, Florida. And she goes, you don't sound like you're from Florida. And I'm like, what do you want me to do with that? What am I supposed to do to be like, oh, yeah, I should sound like, bing, 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 bing. Like, what do you want from me? So I'm already delayed.
What is a Florida accent? Because there's so many different parts of Florida that, like...
I don't think there's such a thing as it, right? Like, it's not a thing.
Because it's such a melting pot, dude. Every part of Florida is different, and everybody sends their crazy uncle, aunt, whatever, to the city. So if you live in Tampa and Miami, you have 2 completely different accents. It's not a Florida accent.
Yeah.
So I would have been like, what do you think a person from Florida sounds like? What the hell? Why would you say that?
It depends on how much or how south you go. I grew up in Miami. It was like, then you are Cuban. You speak Spanish if you grew up in Miami.
Also, if you get closer to Georgia, it sounds a little more red clay. You know, it does sound a little more like what is considered true South.
For sure.
But not in Orlando.
No, but
or Tampa.
The rest of the country thinks we're all swamp hillbillies down here.
It's because of the Florida man story.
I mean, and I give it to them because they're close.
I also love that stigma. Like, I perpetuate it. I love it. I love anywhere I go and they're like, Florida man. I'm like, don't come here. We're insane.
Yeah, find out.
Bath salts and ride gators, dude. What's up? Like,
and it's all kind of true. Like, it's not so far ridiculous. That, it's all like, I gotta give it to them.
Tampa's the strip club capital, like, per capita in the United States.
Oh yeah,
so
I know.
There's so many weird things about Florida where I go, this is my weird town. Like, I love this entire state.
And what part of Florida are you from?
Tampa.
Okay, right on. There you go.
You know what's funny is that one of the funniest jokes Bert Kreischer said on our show one time was like he was in L.A. or whatever when he first went out there, and they're all partying or whatever, and he had some of his Florida friends, and then they all ran out of beer, and then one of the girls was like, "Oh, I'll just drive up to the store and get some beer." They're like, "You can't drive, you've been drinking," and she's like, "I'm from Florida." And then I laughed at that, and I'm like, "Well, that is true."
I didn't hear any of that and think, "Oh no, she's not going to be okay." I was like, "Yeah, run up to the store."
Yeah. In Florida, you eat, drink, and drive.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so when you did this, like when you're up there doing stand up, like, are you terrified that this whole thing could fall apart? Like, because do you have any clue if the judges, because, okay.
Well, you got a ton of experience because you had Wildin' Out, right? So you already knew, like, you weren't were you nervous?
There are so many different things that played in the role. So the advice that Preacher gave me was, he goes, "Dog, you've been doing stand-up. The stand-up isn't the hard part." He goes, "It's 90 seconds. He goes, like, you're good. Like, you will do the job well. It's everything else that's going to bother you. So it's the friends, family. It's like, I was stuck in the hotel room the entire day because we were quarantined, and you're just so separated from everybody, just going over 90 seconds in your head the whole time. So it's not the actual jokes that you're worried about. And there's so many dumb little things that led up to it, too. They made me call my mom right before I got on stage, and, like,
bro,
it's brutal.
They start doing the Mr. Beast things where, like, have you noticed that Mr. Beast isn't as nice as he used to be with the prizes? Like, now he's like, "Oh, you want that 10,000, huh? Well, here's your baby. You haven't seen your baby in days. Look at your baby." And like, that's what they're doing to you, right? They're trying to get
the producers want the drama. Yeah.
This is the bad part. Is the day before I do the actual thing, I do like 8 hours of interviews, 8 hours of giving my backstory, 8 hours of just telling different things and filming these different little behind the scenes shots and all this stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'd already called my mom, and we had already done all these things. And so right before I go up, they go, "Call her again." And I'm like, "Are you serious right now?" Like, I'm about to go on stage for the biggest opportunity of my career so far.
Damn, she's not on the payroll.
Call your mom and tell her you have AIDS.
Did you really have to do it, or could you fake it?
No, I had to call her.
Okay.
And so I'm on the phone.
Preacher. Or Akeem.
They both have been like, "I'm so proud of you."
I love you, baby.
So there's two things that will just get me to absolutely break down: my mom and my brother. Like, there's it's the sentimental, like, we came up together, like, we worked so hard for this, whatever. Sure. So I call my mom. She's like, "I'm so proud of you. You're gonna do so good." And I'm literally like tears in my eyes, and they're like, "Give it up for your next performer, Kim." Right? So I'm literally walking on stage, I have tears in my eyes.
Really
We're setting you up for
failure.
failure.
So funny.
So I don't know if you watched the set. I picked up the mic stand, right? So that's part of the bit. So I asked for the mic stand to be out there. The way stand-up works is the microphone is already in the stand. I go out there, take the microphone out. They're like, "No, you have to walk out with the microphone." I'm like, "So you want me to walk out with mic already in hand to move this mic stand?" I was like, "Do you realize how dumb that looks visually?" And they were like, "Well, go." So I go out there, I'm walking out there with the
producers don't
mic.
care.
They don't care. This is their production. They're like, "Just do it." So I walk out there. I have the microphone. I have to initially move the mic stand. So people in their head are already like, "Why is the mic stand there if you're not a singer? And why are you moving this thing?" And it's because it's part of the bit that they haven't seen yet.
Yeah. Oh man, that's
many little
rough.
things just playing
And they knew
it.
that, though, right? That's the part that I think is driving me a little crazy, is that it's not like they don't know what you're going to do. They know everything.
Yeah.
So the idea that they're putting roadblocks in your way deliberately is kind of like really screwed
Sinister.
up. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Good adjective.
Although, I started watching America's Got Talent again with my sons. They really like it. And then from watching it, I realized...
Max is going to be breakdancing on there in no time.
And you'll be driving them to Toledo for the tryouts.
But I realized the only, gong, the X's, the only act that gets the X's are, put-ons. Like, they purposely bring...
They put on bad stuff, yeah.
A bad
on my episode, they had the guy before me be like a terrible comic. And he got the X's because Howie was being super mean to people. Like, I performed on the day 2 or day 3, and the word around everybody was like, they're being they're being super hard. Like, they're being really mean to people.
Really? So,
Yeah.
okay, so they actually, because, and from what the show portrays, it looks like they know the acts that are going to be praised.
I think that's just what they air. So the thing
Okay.
is I think what they would air is something that's so excessively bad to where everybody's like, oh, yeah, give them the X, whatever. But if somebody's, like, kind of talented and you still get an X or two, it's almost more sad. Because it's like people are like, oh.
Yeah, you kind of want to go full
One or the other. You go,
Yeah.
that guy's great. Give him put him through. Or you want to go, that was terrible. Like the she bang. Like you want that to just be like, this is insane.
You want to hear the update on that guy? I mean, I'm a tangent man. William Hung is addicted to gambling, and he got a divorce. William Hung.
No.
He got
from
addicted
America,
to
he got
gambling?
addicted to gambling.
What kind of
I was
gambling?
saving this for one of my 20s that you want me to do, and I was going to do a whole comparison about how you are Castleberry's William Hung, and then eventually you are going to get a divorce from your wife because William Hung got... Anyway, we'll talk about that another show. But
What
that's
kind of gambling?
he
like
started
slot
doing
machines?
cards, and then he said the nail in the coffin for his wife was sports betting.
Oh,
and he
sports
lost
betting?
his ass.
Because there's nothing more frustrating than somebody being 6 for 7 on their parlay and crying about it for a month. Being like, David Montgomery just caught 6 receiving yards.
I'm telling you, you look it up. It's a fax.
So, Cam, I want to talk to you about social media because you've got
He's right on the cusp of 1 million, man. I gave you.
Oh, no, I had it. I had the million.
What'd you do?
I stopped posting. I hate the internet, and also TikTok is so dumb. Like, it's the dumbest thing in the world.
Okay, well, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, so because it's so weird. Okay, just to give you a little backstory, like we were in terrestrial radio. We started a podcast. We built this. You know, we've been doing it for 10 years now. And
What were you saying?
and so it taught us a lot about the value of like audience numbers and what's that worth and stuff like
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
that. So then it's like we have a smaller audience comparative like to numbers out there on social
They
media.
are concentratedly dosed.
But
man.
we're able to make a living off of it and have employees and all that off of this relatively small audience. So I'm like, I understand how to monetize audiences and stuff. And then
See,
I see
I don't.
a million
like,
what is it?
My monetization is terrible. I barely make any money whatsoever on it. I hate the internet with my whole heart. If I'm being honest, the only reason why I even remotely touched it and the only reason I've done the internet was because I saw during the pandemic, I saw somebody who I don't think is funny put their stand-up online, and he got like millions of views, and I was like, this guy sucks. And I was like, it was just such a petty thing where I was like, if he's getting these views, I'm gonna put mine out there. And within a day I had like 300,000 followers, and I was like, okay, I proved a point. And then I did it just because I the internet is such a cesspool of people being able to say something without repercussions, and it bothers me. So like every time I post, there's a lot of good feedback. There is. I'm very fortunate that most people enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
But it's the 7 people who are like, don't quit your day job. And I was like, you're saying this from your day job. What are you talking about right now, dude?
Right.
And it's so bothersome.
But it's great promotion, like with the amount of followers
It is,
you
but I'm
have.
terrible at promoting. If you haven't noticed, I'd be like,
No, you're
like
good. You
kinda-
drove from Tampa to come here and
Yeah.
do this.
I like
interview.
this.
So
I'm
you're
a
hard-
people person.
Okay.
I'm not like internet isn't real.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like I'll hang out.
You're
with
an old soul, man.
100%. When I started stand-up, it was you go to the club, you do the jokes. If it goes well, it's not worrying about like, I've seen so many people within the last 2 years, they'll do a set looking for the internet clip, but they'll be bombing. If they do 20 minutes, they're bombing for 15 minutes, but there's 5 minutes where they do well. They clip that up, put it out. So then people go, oh my God, they're so funny. And you go, no. They were doing so bad. That was just the one moment that the internet goes, oh my God, they're so good. But they search for that. Whereas like when I started, the internet was not a thing. Like it existed, but nobody put their comedy on there.
Yeah.
The only comedy you ever saw was a special that was on HBO or it was on like Comedy Central. Like that's what you did.
Akeem complains about the same
yeah.
thing. He's one of the only comics that I follow that will actually air out. Like it's kind of interesting too. I like it when Akeem will, and you're doing the same thing here, will just be honest about how they feel the grind in comedy is. And he'll just like say things very similar to what you're saying about like, man, I don't like this. Yeah. This is not what I signed up to do.
For sure.
You know,
the issue is I've been lucky with like when I put something out, it does really well. So it's like I'd rather it do bad so that I can justify not doing it. But because it does well, I go, I have to do it now. It's like if somebody told you your entire life, you got to be a stripper, you're like, no, I have, no, I'm not going to do that. And then you do it and you make like $20,000 in a night and you go, I should have been doing this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
this
Thinking
is
about
so
OnlyFans.
lucrative.
Yeah, hey,
So Cam,
you got your first 2 subscribers right
That
here.
doesn't make things weird.
So what's weird
Hey,
to
it's
me,
money.
and it's kind of like why I mentioned, like, you know, we have way less followers is our social media and stuff. We're smaller comparatively to what I've seen out
Yeah.
there, but we're
not kissing the 100,000s. We're more like a 20,000 or a 12.
But
Yeah.
we're able to make a living and make money. And then I talk to other people on that are TikTok influencers and Instagram, and they have hundreds of thousands and are making zero or like $13 a year. People are throwing numbers, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Well, how are we able
Because
to
most
make?
people are bad at business.
Oh, I know.
God.
I'm bad at business.
I turn down so many things, bro. Like somebody, like I get offered the worst things, so I just say no all the time, and I probably should just say yes and take the money. But they're like, "Do you want to market these socks?" And I was like, "Your socks suck. Like they're weird. I don't want your weird cat socks, bro."
Yeah,
But
that
everybody-
I
doesn't
don't
make
like weird
sense.
socks
They're like,
either.
"Market my tumbler cup," and I'm like, no, like,
yeah.
But there's so many people that will do it, and they'll be like, "You guys, you're not gonna understand. If you use my promo code Johnson & Johnson, you get 15% off," and like, I just don't have that in me.
I
I don't
gotcha.
have the shitty sellout marketing thing of like, if you guys just, but it would pay all of my bills.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you know what's
yeah.
weird, but it seems like
a little bit of a balance there. you know?
What I don't understand though, there are things that you do like and you would promote
For
and product,
free, bro.
Yeah, I know. But
I have so many weird things, like Nestle Strawberry Quick, bro. If they ever approach me, I'm doing it for the free.
You got to start talking about it on stage because that's what happened with Fortune Feimster. She
Yeah.
got a bunch of stuff from Hooters.
Yeah.
You got to make a bit about
I
it.
think she did commercials for him or something. Do you are you a syrup man or a powder man?
Both.
Okay.
It depends on the day.
I think that's a good answer.
Yeah.
You know, don't sleep on the powder. It's good
No,
on ice
they're
cream.
both good for different reasons.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
there's days where I'll throw powder and then the syrup. I'm
What?
gross.
Damn.
I'm gross,
Oh,
bro.
you really should be their guy, man. You're the double dipper. Holy smokes.
so what's the business plan? Like
He just said he's bad at business.
Yeah.
There is no plan.
Yeah, but you're grinding. You're doing. You're doing.
The plan is this.
I'm
Yeah,
in the plan.
obviously the plan is to come on our show, then have you
I
get
know.
the date wrong.
And you go
Bad
out
at
to the
business.
Westin next Thursday, February 1st, and Sabrina Ambra, our friend, is going to be opening for him.
Sabrina
awesome.
is open. You got a place to stay that night? We could put him up at our
Oh,
Air
we could,
T&D.
if it's open.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have a property there that looks just like the studio. It's
sick.
like a replica of the studio that listeners can live in.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
they're
tight.
living there.
Yeah.
Yeah, rent it.
Airbnb.
Well,
I'm like,
Airbnb.
I'm gonna live there.
Oh, Cam's not out yet.
He's like, business plan is to
You're like,
live in
no,
the
no, no, like,
RTD.
this is my plan. This is my plan the whole time.
He got a new place to live.
I have squatters' rights, buddy. I know my rights.
In Sanford, I think that works.
I think so.
So, like, speaking of business, like the America's Got Talent had to have, you had to have seen the needle move like huge, right? Like after it airs, what's the needle move from that?
It helped from like a respect standpoint, but if I'm being completely honest, the dry bar helped more than anything. It just did. That's the thing I get recognized the most from, like just those clips, and a lot of it is because I took the special, clipped it up, and put it out. So it's been seen over like 130 million times. Whereas like the AGT set, it's almost the same demographic as far as like the people who watch America's Got Talent also watch Dry Bar, and people who watch Dry Bar watch America's Got Talent. So like the crossover was so much the same, whereas like so many more people saw the clips from the Dry Bar set than they saw America's Got Talent, because not everybody has live TV. Not everybody watches it on Hulu. And like America's Got Talent was on its like 16th season by the time I did it. So like it kind of not ran its course. Like it's still prominent, but like
A lot of middle America,
Exactly.
you know, like some people out on their farm watching America's Got Talent and stuff. So the numbers are there, just not necessarily where you want them to be.
like the social media bump that I got from doing it was so much smaller than the bump that I got from a video going viral.
wow.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so like one of the Dry Bar clips I put on Instagram, just like a clip about my grandma, got like 3-4 million, gave me like 50,000 followers just off of like
Wow.
a couple clips doing well.
Hold on a second.
And-
We have an Amber Alert coming through, and it's ruining the show. Can you repeat what you just said? Jesus Christ, people!
How dare
we
these
have
kids, dude.
someone doing an interview.
How
here.
dare these kids just get took,
Yeah,
man.
my God.
Back in my day, you just took your L.
and it's probably the crazy stepmom.
Yeah, it's always the stepmom.
That's great. But yeah, no, I got a bigger social media bump from just a video doing well than people being like, I saw you on America's Got Talent. Like, I definitely got followers from people watching AGT and appreciating the set or whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, it's so platform specific as far as like, if somebody finds you on TikTok, they watch you on TikTok. If somebody finds you on YouTube, they follow you on YouTube. It's rare that people go and follow you on everything.
Yeah, cross-platform.
Yeah. So like, if 10,000 people follow you on YouTube at one time, you hope that maybe 500 to 1,000 of them go to your Instagram. It's just people stay on the platform that they're used to.
It is interesting. I've noticed that does happen quite a bit. Because you'll go
the thing they find you on, that's the thing they use.
Yeah, and then they don't follow you on other like social media. It is interesting that is a thing.
I kind of got penalized in social media. I mean, not that I'm way less active than I used to be when it first rolled out. But my Twitter account, that was the first one I went to. Like, I'm 47. So, like, the first one I went to and opened was a Twitter account. Like, I want to say within weeks of it becoming a thing, right? Mm-hmm. So I have, like, 20-some thousand on that's, like, not to say that that's a lot, but it is an organic 20,000. Everything else I've hit from that point has just been less than that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's like I've never been able to, no matter what I'll do.
But it all compounds. It all adds. Getting the first 10,000 is the absolute hardest thing to do because it's almost like nobody knows who you are. So like building that, and then now once you have 10,000, that's more people who are willing to share your stuff. I keep trying to tell people, like, I try to give the game essentially to, like, I only know what I know, but I try to give that information to everybody else. Like, I try to help, other comics out and stuff. And like, if it's not shareable, you're playing to your audience alone, and you're praying that it gets put on the Explore page or on the For You page. Like, you're praying that the algorithm picks it up. Yeah. But if it's something is shareable, now your network becomes their network, and everything is being shared. So like, it's something where if you're talking about, so I have a joke about my dumb friend, right? Everybody's going to tag their dumb friend. They're going to send it to their dumb friend. It's so much shareable because they're like, oh, I saw this and I thought of you. But if it's something so specific to you, people are less inclined to tell other people about it. They'll think it's funny, but they're just kind of like, oh. Like, and they, you're playing to who already follows you. You want to play to the people who don't follow you yet.
Yeah, but then, like, going back to where we started, what is it all valued at? Like, I
think it's different for everybody. It's like everybody's... could be different currencies, right?
Right.
Like what his followers are to our followers. I mean, it's different currencies.
Yeah. So I will say, I'm bad at business, but I do understand business. I understand why it's all necessary. So what I do is I'm building the following. So I have a big following, but it's not monetized. Like, I don't make money off of it. But my thing is when I post that I'm in a city, I'm hoping that those followers who do follow me come to the shows because that's where the money is for me. Or it's like, I want the shows to be good because that's the thing I enjoy. I don't want the stress of being like, I am living off the internet money where if I post a video and it doesn't do well, now I can't pay my rent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd rather the video do well, and then I hope that you come to the show and the shows pay my rent. Like, that's kind of my business aspect of it. But I have friends who just sit in their car, record a video, and make a couple $1,000s. And that's just a different game, though.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's completely different. And that's usually what most stand-ups use social media to do is promote their shows. And to the point where a lot of them don't even do traditional media anymore. Yeah. Because they're coming to town and then they're like, I don't need it. I'm promoting, and the venue's promoting to everybody in the age demographic that I've my company told, the publicist told it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll see it with, like, Dr. Phillips or whatever. Like, Sebastian Maniscalco will come into town. Like, he's not doing any media. Yeah. He Dr. Phillips and whatever budget they Sebastian has himself and his team. They're spamming everybody's Facebook page with showing everybody's in town. And
they'll just geofence Orlando, and wherever we walk, it'll just be hitting their phone the entire time.
There's no need to do any media anymore.
Yeah, it's also different too because the traditional media. So I don't know if you've seen Sam Morril do like daytime like news things. It's one of the funniest things in the world because he just doesn't take it serious.
He's trolling them.
He's trolling them because he's like, you all
Segura
are asking.
Started doing that too back in the day too. Yeah.
It's like you're asking the exact same questions every single time. It's like, you know how sick of answering like. So what got you into it? You're like, you not only do you not care, but this is the most basic question. It's like asking what your favorite color is, dude. You're like, you're like, you almost go on autopilot at a certain point.
Scratch that one off. That's my next question. Like, holy crap, we're gonna look bad.
What can we expect
at a Cam show?
Cam Bertrand show.
Oh God.
And then they're like, do your bit.
No, you guys are great, man. Like, I've already had so much fun just doing the first couple questions you asked. This is so much more honest and organic. When you do like a radio thing, they are so much more like it's almost there's a divide. There's almost such a weird wall of like.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's a different style of interview.
It feels like
we came from
monkey.
Yeah,
Like you just
we
feel,
were those guys.
We came from radio, and every time we go back to promote something, because we'll do it too. Like we'll promote our stuff.
It's
because
like stepping into the bizarre. It's like stepping into the what is the
Twilight
upside
Zone.
down?
But it's part of the business or whatever. But then you're sitting there, and then it's like, why isn't this just a conversation? Why is this like have to promote? There's like, it's almost like you have to follow the steps of like promote your stuff. But there's like some sort of weird cadence to it.
Yeah.
That always I'm like, what's happening right now? Why are we just talking?
Because it does feel like a business transaction.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Where it's like your job is to keep listeners, and then the other person's job is to sell tickets to the show. But it's like when it's a business transaction, it doesn't feel organic. And you're like, we're having a conversation because it's almost like going to the strip club and realizing that they're doing a job. You're like, you don't really love me. Like once you remember like that they're
it
working.
Gets sad when you think about the reality of it.
I like the reality. That's the
You're into it.
Yeah, I'm
You're
like,
into
tell
it.
me again how short and disgusting I am. Tell me, yes.
What if like she hates that part? She's like, "You're just so gross," and you're like, "Do it again." She's like, "I hate this part."
Yeah, I've actually had a girl call me gross before. Isn't that crazy?
You gave her more money.
Yeah, no. This was just somebody I wanted to date. I'm like, I want to take you out. She's like, you're gross. I'm like, all right. Back to you, Tom.
So Cam, I want to talk to you. I mentioned it at the beginning of the interview, but me and you have something in common, and it's called old young man's disease.
Yeah.
And,
Well, you can't be holding on to that anymore.
I still get caught in every once in a while.
At this point, your old young man's disease is the comb over.
This is
you are
ridiculous.
combing it over your face, sir, because you look rough and shiny.
Well, it happened fast. It was like a couple years ago. It was holding up, and then it all
You're
fell
coming
apart.
in with your arthritis hands. Nobody's carding you.
Well, I had it. Well, it all disintegrates after a while, so it will forget him too.
You couldn't even read. You couldn't decipher a 3 or a 1 without your bifocals.
Although Cam's tattoos, he had his shirt off and his shorts on, it does make you look older. Your full body tattoos.
Does it?
Speaking, I think it
It
does.
helps. It does help.
I think it makes you look younger.
I do too.
No,
But it does make people at least go, he's at least gotten enough tattoos to where he has to be at least this age. Whereas like no tattoos, they're like, he could be between 15 and 28.
Or you could be like one of those rappers that lays down now, and then they just knock you
You're
out.
like the Island Boys.
And then you wake up and you're entirely
Dak Prescott did that.
No, but there's
Yeah.
another guy doing it. He was getting it's the same dentist that Kanye was using for his titanium weirdo teeth.
Oh.
And this dentist, he was putting on, he had a guy knocked out, right? And then he was putting in teeth, like fake teeth, for the guy.
Oh.
And he had like 6 tattoo artists tattooing him at the same time. So when that guy wakes up, he's going to have a whole new body.
She's
And
a
a
new
mouth.
person, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's bizarre.
When did you start getting tattoos?
17.
Okay.
Yeah, my first tattoo, my dad signed for it because my
that's
mom.
so Florida, dude.
Well, so my mom didn't want me to get tattoos at all, and I really wanted one. So my dad was like, and they kind of had their beef, whatever. So like, my parents got divorced when I was young, but whatever. So they had like a weird thing. So like, he was like, I'll sign for you to get this tattoo because I know it'll irritate her. But he goes, this is your birthday and Christmas present. So we go to
he weaponized you.
Yeah,
against your
dude,
mother.
but I was also like, fair. I just want this tattoo. This can be my present for the next 3 years. Don't
That's
care.
between them,
So
not you, man.
I'm sitting down in the chair. I have the stencil on. We're about to start, and he goes, I'm not gonna lie to you. He goes, I thought you were going to back out. He was like, the only reason I agreed to do this is because I thought you would punk out and not get the tattoo. And I was like, nope, super excited about this. Can't wait. And he was like, all right. So we started doing the tattoo. And he was like almost proud in that moment to be like, damn, you committed to the bit. Like,
all right, I like
what was
that.
the first tattoo?
I have a basketball on my chest. It's got.
Sam has 2 basketballs on her chest.
Don't come on.
Hey-o, comedy. That's for you, Mark.
And then what made you go for, because you have a full, you're fully tatted your whole body.
I have my entire.
You want to make love to him?
You can't stop staring at his kneecap.
Well, I saw a promo shot, and all of a sudden, like, your shirt was
Wait,
open.
I didn't see a promo shot with no shirt on.
Yeah,
What? So there's one.
Yeah,
I didn't see it either.
He
This guy,
found the one.
This guy's deep diving.
He did a deep dive.
Yeah,
Oh
this guy
my
was
God.
like, oh
So,
my
on the
God, he
internet.
looks like Miami's Birdman. Shout out to Birdman, too. Shout out to Birdman.
So that picture, I sent it as a joke. So I took the picture. I did the.
No joke to Tom.
It's on there. I just saw it. I was like, oh, this guy's got full body tat.
I did a I did like a headshot shoot to get like promo pictures and stuff with a friend of mine who's a photographer, and we jokingly did that picture because I was like, this is hilarious, whatever.
Oh, son, that's hot as hell.
When I sent my headshots to my management, I jokingly was like, and if they ever reshoot Degrassi, like tell them if they need like a shitty high school or whatever, and they were like, ha ha ha, and then they put that on the internet, and I was like, no. They use that to like book certain roles and stuff to send me for auditions,
cool.
whatever. It isn't, because like it's on the internet, so like certain people would be like, hey dog, this is kind of like, you look insane.
Well,
no,
he's
it's
not,
definitely
because you're right, because you did it as a joke, but it looks like you
looks
did it
for
on
real.
purpose. Like
Yeah,
this is your
for
promo
sure.
shot.
Well,
You want to
we
promote.
had one
I
of
never
those.
posted it.
We made the Orlando Sentinel for something, and then we sent all these photos from our buddy Tony Monjet photo.
yeah.
And then the one that they used, we were mocking each other. I'm standing in the
Yep.
front, and he's behind me, holding my belly like I'm pregnant, and like we're looking off into the moon, or something. And
It's
I'm like,
always
of
the
course
one you
they
don't
use
want,
that.
dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had my entire torso done before I was like 21.
Really?
Yeah, my first
man.
job, I worked at Adventure Islands, and I would use every paycheck to pay like phone bill, car insurance, and then every other dollar went to tattoos.
Wow.
Yeah.
And would you just get hooked on it? You're just like, I'm gonna keep going. You'd like, and then I'm always curious, like the people that do get like hooked on getting tattoos, like
I
it
kind of
must.
hate mine.
Well, it must be.
I'm joking. I really like them.
Because there's an inevitable end to what you're into, because there's only so much space.
Yeah.
So then what do you do?
Or you're like me, you get to an age where they don't feel when they're putting them down on you. They don't. I just had my chest. I did a cover up, and
Yeah.
it made it way bigger on my chest, and I'd never had anything other than just a little bit of script writing on my chest. Man, that was at 45 doing that compared to when I got it done in my 20s.
Yeah.
That's a different animal, man. That is
100%.
a young man's game.
I had my stomach touched up a couple months ago, and I was like, I'm so glad I got my torso done when I
Yeah.
did, because I was like, this is different now. This sucks.
Yeah,
Like-
I got hotter.
Yeah.
And I started sweating more,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
started getting like lightheaded, and I'm like, wait a minute, I thought I loved this.
Yeah.
And I still do, but it is different. It is way different.
So now, but is there like, are you gonna go for your neck and your hands? Like, are there space? Your feet?
Everything's getting done.
Okay.
Face?
Yeah.
D.
So
Oh, you get the ninja from Diane Ward,
Yeah,
to
he's
get the,
got
I'm
it.
gonna get
Yeah.
a rocket ship.
You can get a lightning bolt like our buddy Zach from Ohio.
Yeah. The guy from Diane Ward, Ninja, I think he just has Ninja written on
Yes,
his.
he does.
All
yeah.
right.
I
Oh,
would
yeah.
do face before D,
Okay.
but face is probably not gonna happen. But I don't know. I
Is
say
that
that
because of
I say that
career?
now. So that's kind of why I didn't do anything visible for a really long time. But then I got to the point where I realized I'm always wearing a hoodie or a sweatshirt on stage anyways. So like then I did my arm, because I was like, nobody is going to see my arm anyways. Because when you do stand up and like people see tattoos, there's a different judgment, especially when you're younger, or at least you look younger. So they judge you off the bat. It took a long time for me to get comfortable wearing a hat on stage, even though I'm such a hat person, because you're immediately judged. You're playing from, you're down 7 points at the beginning of the game. Like,
Yeah.
You have to overcome certain things. I have to overcome, my voice. People don't like how I sound sometimes. So like it takes a while of like getting over certain things.
Although I will tell you, and I know you got a story about this particular person, but I feel like Dave Chappelle changed the way we look at stand-up comedy business, because he, turned down the system that everybody went through and said, F you, and then came back and bigger than ever. It was the best thing now in retrospect he ever could do for his career, which was turn,
He kind of did the Howard Stern or the Joe Rogan. I kind of put them all in the same category as like going away and then doing something no one else did.
Honestly, the best one has been Shane Gillis.
Between
Dave walking away from 50 million and coming back the way that he did from being blackballed, that nobody had done that before. Shane Gillis is the most recent one that did it from was essentially an unknown guy, gets canceled off of SNL, and there's almost no reason for the people to gravitate towards him or rally around him other than the fact that he's undeniably funny.
Yeah.
And that changed everything. I personally didn't think he would come back from not being the I got canceled off SNL guy. I thought he was going to be that guy forever, and that would just be how he's known, and that's just going to be his career. And he has absolutely destroyed what SNL would have done to his career.
It was the best thing that ever happened to him.
100%.
Yeah.
And he capitalized off of making sure that that's not what defined him. And that's also why I didn't really push back against AGT taking away the live shows from me, because I saw what Shane did, and I go, well, I'm still young, and I'm still early on where I go, I don't need to burn this bridge. There's only like 4 major networks. If I go against this beast of the machine right now, it just is going to hinder me more than anything, and AGT is not going to be my end-all be-all. So the way he didn't necessarily push back against SNL, he just became greater. Like, you know, I use that as motivation 100%.
Yeah, and it's true because you don't need, you know, we don't live in a gatekeeper world anymore where you have to go through the big production studios
you
to
can
get
self-produce.
Yeah, everything, you know, you could promote yourself on the internet to everybody.
Self-producing and funding is the way to go.
Yeah.
Just look at the show Real Rob. Magnifique.
Hey,
that is a goodie.
My next special, I'm gonna absolutely own it 100% because my last 2 I didn't, and I didn't have any say in it, and I made a fraction of what it made.
Really?
And it made a lot of money.
Really?
And the amount of money that I got from it was still good money, not what they made. So I refuse to let my next product be anything but mine. Like, ugh.
You know what? If it's better not to know how much money other people made off of you.
Don't tell me that. Yeah,
because that's what really gets you when.
It's in writing. That's what sucks is I see the number.
Man.
I see what it did.
When you work for a big corporation, and then you see or have an idea how much money they're making off of your art, you know, that is something you can't get past. You can't be okay with it. You're just like, wait a minute, I'm only making 5% of what it's me that's making it. It's me.
It's going to a pawn shop, dude. It's you taking this little vase you found and you're being like, I want $1,000 for this, and they're like, I need to bring in an appraiser, and they appraise it for $1 million, and you're like, you were going to be happy with $1,000, but now you know what it's worth. So then you do a product, and you're like, oh man, I'm making good money on this, but then you see what they're making, and you're like, I want that. I want that thing because it's mine.
And it's impossible to like be okay with it. Like when you see it,
terms with it.
Well, Cam, thanks so much for coming.
Man, we appreciate the time. Let's do it again sometime if you're around Florida, man.
I live here now, so
there you go.
So February 1st, West End Trading Company in Sanford.
We have another date, but we can plug that after
also, he'll
we
be
sell
in
this
Delray
one.
Beach, February 2nd at Arts Garage. February 3rd in St. Augustine at Cafe 11. And he will be back. Oh, you're going to be at High Dive in Gainesville. That's a good venue.
Yeah.
And
what's Cafe 11? I've never been to that.
I've never been to that either, so I'm not sure.
In St. Augustine? That would be fun. I didn't even know they had a venue for like stand-up. That's fantastic.
And back in Orlando.
I love St. Augustine.
At the Funny Bone Comedy Club, former Orlando Improv.
Yes.
So if you come back in April.
Yeah, it's my first time headlining there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like, try to make the West End date, but I'm sure we'll be in touch before, anything else. Thanks again, man.
Dude, thank you guys for having me. This was awesome.
Anytime, man.
All right, we will see you tomorrow.
All right. We're all done. We're still on Twitch and YouTube.
Cool.
Sick. Thank you, sir. That was fantastic, man.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks for making the drive.
It just broke. Can't even talk. Breezed right through that,
Yeah. It was easy.
Great questions. Great.
Where's that go, Sam?
Monday,
So much easier when we just have a conversation. I don't know why that old media.
I'm glad you brought that up.
So weird.
Last time we went into the studio, we were doing it in a bunch of different places. Well, where we came from, the radio studios, and we would go in there and we'd hit 3 different shows, and every single one of them, the vibe was very much the same. It was like, we got to get this done and get out of here. You got to get this done and get out of here and get it. And it was like, it's not necessarily bad, but it's certainly not good.
Yeah, you don't get into any conversation that has, in my opinion, I guess it's all opinion based, but like any weight to it, or you're like set up with something interesting that's just like surface.
Yeah, there's never been, not never, but like it's very rare you see like a daytime radio or TV thing where they're saying something that's like, oh, this is the first time they're saying it. Like they're excited about this. It's always just kind of like going through the motions. Yeah, and I guess it has to. I guess that's the way the formula has to break down.
It has to have the jadedness in there. Like it can't be authentically exciting on both sides, meeting in the middle of mutual excitement. It has to be you're showing up because you really need to sell tickets, and the guys that are there have to be disinterested in what you're saying.
But
you might be right. I can't see another way of it working.
But no way to do it.
But here's the weird part about this. It's like, okay, the first person to really get.
Are we recording anymore?
No.
Okay. Bye, guys. I'm gonna shut all this down so we